your exotic skin, hair, and beauty source, and your one-stop shop for all your natural and organic skin and hair care, featuring authentic organic Moroccan oil and prickly pear seed oil and much more. Bringing you only the best, straight from the source and proudly produced in the USA. So what are you waiting for? Shop today at www.arganissima.com. Arganissima, New York. Your beauty is our...
Folks, welcome back to the Fit and Fab channel, iHealth Radio, with your host, Hurricane H. New day, new show, new topic, and a new guest. And this time we're taking it to a whole different dimension, something that everybody loves, everybody actually enjoys. And we're going to go through a journey of really an experience of Broadway. And I'm going to leave it at that for a second. So our guest today is actually a choreographer. He is a dancer, a teacher, even did acting, I think, and just a whole bunch of stuff. And, his main thing is dancing. And, we were just joking a minute ago, him and I, and the joke is about dancing is the fitness that everybody can do. Everybody can do fitness with dancing, right? I mean, fitness is hard. And again, it is the Fit and Fab channel. But really, we think about all the other stuff, weight training, resistance training, cardio, aerobics and stuff. But you tune in a little bit of beat and everybody starts doing their boogie stuff, right? Now, of course, we're not going to talk just about the basic dancing. We're going to talk about the whole experience of dancing and the Broadway and all that good stuff. Anyways, I've talked enough. Without any further ado, I have with me Jospeh Corella, and he is our, just an inspiration for a lot. And if you're watching and listening, this is going to be a fun show. So Jospeh, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I love your passion for movement and dance, and hearing how you spoke about everything. It's you said it. It's all great. So I'm excited to chat today.
Well, listen, welcome. And I know we booked this and, we locked it down and we're here. And you know what? I mean, I've covered a lot of different angles, as I said, in the fitness world. We have so many options and we're never going to run out of those options. I mean, I'll have another 200, guests and we'll talk about different things. We'll touch on something similar, but everybody's got a different angle. But the one thing, which is other than math, I think, music and dance is international, universal.
Yeah.
Anybody can dance to any beat, any rhythm. You just put some music and people do it. So it's something that we have. I mean, kids, they just walk and they start doing the thing, right? All the folks do the same thing. I mean, you just throw in a little beat and tune and people do their own. And it is very intense and it's very diversified too. I mean, dancing is a lot. I mean, I'm making it sound like it just like everybody can move. True. But dancing, it's a world on its own, and it's just very, very. I guess there's a lot to it, and more than meets the eye or that we know of, at least from an outsider, right?
Yeah.
And everybody thinks they dance. That's good, but there's regular amateur business and there's the professional world, right? And you are in that professional, the Broadway world, and actually that is actually an interesting thing because having someone from Broadway here on the show is really a true pleasure because a lot of people love Broadway. I mean, Broadway is the place to go, and that's where you see all the good, the dancing and the acting and all the Broadway shows. I mean, that's all there is. You can't beat that, right? As a matter of fact, even on cruise ships, they take the Broadway on cruise ships these days. And you enjoy the same, passion, the same look, the same visuals, and the same choreography and all that good stuff. So anyways, I talk, a little bit too much. I'm going to hold back. And now let's talk.
I love it.
Let's talk. Jospeh, you take us through your journey. You've been doing this since you were a child.
Yeah. I've been dancing since I was 7. So it's something that I for sure understand, but it was, I think the thing, you were talking about like everybody dances and it's true. I think some people are terrified of it, but everybody kind of dances, but maybe some people secretly dance or they dance with a little bit of liquid help, shall I say, at like weddings
in the shower.
Yeah, like in the shower or like a little bit of,
or where they have a little bit of
like a little something to help. But like, dance is magical, and that's really the key for me with beyond like my career as a professional. I mean, I've been dancing now with 7, so there's a lot of training that has gone into play. That's why like Broadway is what it is you're seeing a lot of people that have been training their whole life. They are true athletes on stage. Like that is athletic in many different ways, from singing to dancing to acting. And it's really incredible when you see performers in New York, because you're seeing the elite. It's like the Olympics. Broadway's like the Olympics. And it's really incredible to see that and watch these people that have been devoting their lives to that. But I know for me, the main thing is that I teach dance fitness for adults, and it's called 567 Broadway, and it's a dance fitness program for adults. And it's just really to help people, adults, connect to the power of dance, connect to the power of music, connect to the arts, have fun, connect to movement. Like you said, it's how do we take care of ourselves on this earth? We really finding fun ways to do that, I think, is really important, along with the discipline of doing other things as well. But dance is truly a discipline. I wish you could push a button and be like, yay, I know all the knowledge to be the best dancer. It does take focus, but it's amazing, and it's incredible when you start learning and growing. So I encourage anybody, if your heart is telling you to dance, or don't ever let someone tell you that you can't. No matter what age you are, wherever you are, there's a way to access dance in this day and age. We were talking about technology and how technology is advanced. I remember the days when there was no no internet. I remember when internet was created, there was no YouTube. There was no ways to access so much information that we have now. So there's a lot of things that you can do at home, right from the comfort of your home, especially with what we've been dealing with the pandemic. But I encourage anybody, no matter what, just put on some music, dance it out, have some fun, take care of your body and your mind, and the incredible rewards that when you do that, what happens to your life in many different ways is really, truly magical.
Thank you, Joseph, for that's a very intense introduction there. It's a little nice summary, but we'll dissect it. Well, first of all, what got you into dancing? I mean, at that age, you did not just think, oh, I'm gonna be performing on Broadway. I mean, something triggered you for dancing, and then you took it a notch, and before you knew it, you were into dancing school, I guess, and from there you went to the big league. You said Broadway is the elite, the top of the top. Is really, if you are a dancer, you want to be on Broadway. And so what got you into it?
I mean, for me, I'm originally from Phoenix, Arizona, so I'm from the Valley of the Sun. And moving to New York City, like later on in life, was quite a journey and quite eye-opening for me. But I loved creating at a young age. We're all creative, and I think I learned to tap into that. I'm really grateful I was able to start dance at a young age. I went to dance studio, and then that kind of my heart was in it. My heart and my passion. I think I've always followed my heart, and I continue to do that into this day. If my heart's telling me to do something, I'm gonna do it, even though it might be scary, it might be complicated, or it might be, and it always leads to some magical thing. And truly, the evolution of dance for me has opened my my mind and my heart and my life in a way that I would not be sitting here if it weren't for dance. So I am forever indebted to dance. And but I love what it's done for my career, but along with what I see it does for other people. That's my passion now at this point in my life, is to help other people understand what dance can do. It's not just, especially sometimes we be like Broadway, like jazz hands. It's not just jazz hands. It is life-changing. It can change. I've seen it change people's lives. And that happens in many different ways for people. I am a very, I've always felt deeply, I guess one could say, like I'm an artiste. And at a young age, I was always very passionate, but always very, 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 my emotions. And dance was the thing that really helped me understand my emotions, or helped me move through my emotions. And have I needed that these last couple of years with the pandemic? Oh my gosh, I've needed dance and music so much to help me through. So this is a very, it's a serious business in its way, but there's a lot of joy, so much joy when you move and when you just have some fun and movement. But that's kind of in a nutshell with that.
Well, thank you. Well, that is awesome. And again, I see the passion. This is your life. This is you. But when you were a child, was there an inspiration, somebody that actually inspired you to this? I mean, a former dancer, somebody that's famous on TV, parents maybe, had something to do with it. I mean, listen, I'm assuming Corella is a Latin name, a Spanish name, right? I know,
Yes.
I know Latinos love to do every single dance. I mean, they're great dancers, spirit and out. I mean, you just got to do some rhythm and everybody dance. Was that actually it is? Was it the culture? I mean, what was the influence that got you into it? Ultimately,
Yeah.
they did guide you through
Yeah.
studio music, dance studios and stuff.
So how I started dancing was I have an older brother and he's a dancer. And that's the thing that kind of catapulted me into, I would go like watch him in the Nutcracker. I'd go to the dance studio and watch him, or being from Phoenix, we'd go to LA and he would be taking class at LA dance studios. And I would watch that. And I was I was inspired by it. But I do remember when I first started dance, I started for a year and then I quit because I was like, well, I want to play baseball. Like I randomly was like, I want to play baseball. And I did that. And it was such an eye-opening thing for me because I'm so energetic. Like I dance is so great for me because I have a lot of energy. So it helps me get that out. Baseball for me was so slow that it would drive me crazy. I remember that feeling. It would drive me crazy. And so I went back into dance and I stayed in it ever since. But my brother and then other teachers like musicals, I'm really grateful for the teachers I've had in my life. Our teachers are, I give so much respect to the people that have inspired me along the way. And our teachers go above and beyond. And there was a teacher that I had in my elementary school that started an after school musical theater program. And that's what started my love for musicals. And I randomly wanted to do it because obviously my heart was telling me to do it. And I found love. And I know that this teacher gave a lot of her time. No doubt it was an extracurricular thing for her. It was after school and everything. And it was so great. So I'm so grateful for those people that have supported me along the way. I had junior high teachers that we had a musical theater program there, and they were so supportive of me. And I would not be here without those teachers. And yeah, that's why I really try. For me, I try to inspire people the way that I've, and try to share the message that was shared to me, you know?
Well, that's beautiful. I mean, first of all, just the fact that you're still remember those folks that had an impact on your career and your just life, basically, because I mean it's life changing, and that's beautiful because sometimes we tend to always give credit to ourselves and not those that were behind us, and
Yeah.
that's just human nature, right? And it is important to always, and from the platform, I want to make sure that anybody out there that whatever you do. There are people that contribute to whatever you are today, and you should be thankful for that and grateful. And just something. It doesn't take much, but yeah, I mean, just the same way we remember those that didn't. I mean, there's always somebody that probably didn't do a good job for you in your life, but we tend to thank those too because they made you stronger. But
Yeah.
the ones that actually were there and really guided you for whatever you do, I mean, it's awesome. And in your case, I mean, those teachers. And you mentioned, I mean, there were musicals, theater musicals from day one. And
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking music, dancing, and theatrical stuff, and that's big, and that's really what Broadway is about, right?
Yeah.
And so you were really into it, and you had enough practice. And when you're younger, I mean, you said earlier it's not for everyone. People are frightened. You're right. I mean, being on stage, being in front of public, it's not an easy thing. Not everybody can do it. But when you start performing at that age, I mean, I did dance actually, but my dance was like, I grew up in the 80s and breakdance was it. And so I was, one of those guys, with the gloves and the hats and
Love
the
it.
boombox and all that. But that's not real dancing. I've done actually one time I had maybe a couple months of modern jazz and that was it.
That's great.
I dabbled for, and we were actually at a language center, and we had a theme, and then we have actual an art, like a theater, and an artistic group, and so we had some dance in there, but it was like literally a brief moment in my life. And I dabble with a little bit salsa here, a little bit of the other stuff, and just like the normal people, but nothing advanced. But I know from a martial arts background, it's the same concept. You learn and you graduate to the next stage, and over the years you want to teach what you learned, right? And that's how it goes. That's exactly what you're doing. You've learned over years, and now you turn that into teaching. You love teaching. You started your own institution, and now you're creating a new generation, which is awesome. I mean, that's just big.
Yeah.
So that leads me now to the next question. Now, you said you were from Arizona,
Mhm.
and coming to Broadway, that had to be a very difficult journey. I mean, again, you said the elite, and you just don't come to Broadway without having to be the top of the top. So auditioning, going through that whole, what was it actually your dream? Did you dream to be on Broadway?
Yeah, I mean, I will never forget seeing Phantom of the Opera in Phoenix when I was like in 5th grade, and that was the thing that I was like, I want to do this. Like, I want to be on stage. This is my future. Then I saw that in my head at a young age, and so that was a goal at a young age. And so but the thing is, yeah, a goal is one thing. Getting to that goal is a completely another thing. And again, being from Phoenix, Arizona, summers and winters, like summers are 120 degrees and winters are like, maybe you get to like 45. It's not crazy. Moving to New York, that was one of the most challenging things I have ever experienced in my life. And I understand more than ever why East Coast people are so different from West Coast people. Weather changes personalities. And, when it's, 10 degrees outside, you don't have time to deal with like, come on, you just got to tell me what do you need? What do you need? And you got to get there. You're freezing. And to have to audition like that, and like just run around, I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about following my passion. The biggest thing that I ever learned was that if you don't love what you do in New York City as a performer, that city will chew you up and spit you out, because there is no room. You have to love that. You have to love, walking to an audition when it's snowing outside, and then dance and then sing and then go back outside, and in your winter clothes, all kind of sweaty from the audition. You're struggling to get through as a performer. And getting on the subway and all those things. I wouldn't change it for the world, but it did open my eyes to really my passion. It helped grow my passion even more. And that is, but again, New York City as a performer as well, it's whatever works. Some people don't want to leave where they are, and that's great. For me, I wanted to go to New York City, and I'm really glad I did that. But that is city. If you don't like it, if you don't like what you do, that weather alone will be just, and then the busyness of Manhattan is for sure going to make you, and then living in a shoebox,
Expensive shoebox,
all the things.
Well, Joseph, thank you for sharing that. And I want to dissect it more and further. Yeah. And you said very, very powerful stuff right now. And dream and get into your dream, right? And you set your goal. I mean, the goal was, I want to be on Broadway. And so that's the first thing. And I think for our audiences, just from an inspirational, angle, if you want something, you see your future, you think you have it in you to be there, and you got to just stamp it. That's it, own it. And then the next stage is you got to figure out which ways you're going to go, which channels, which roads you're going to take to be there. And again, you didn't pick an easy one. You picked a very strong one. And New York is the place. And you know what? There's a saying, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. Yep. And you said also,
make it there.
That's right. Well, listen, I was in Orlando, and my friend says, I'm moving. I told him I'm moving to New York. I was like, are you crazy? What are you going to do in New York? I was like, well, if I can do something, that's the place. And 30 years later, I'm here. So, See? But that's really, it's true. I mean, New York is a different angle. It's a different place, and it's very crazy in a way that is hustle, and it's really like, just there's no pause. I mean, you just keep going, right?
Yeah.
And it's also very competitive, and that's the other part. You come into New York, doing those auditions. I mean, it's not easy. Where you're not the only one, and other people think they're just as good or better, and you're going against the best of the best, and everybody wants a shot, and there's only a few spots. I mean, you go to any of those plays. I mean, there's only one group that gets selected for a particular, show on Broadway. And, maybe there's a couple, there's always a backup, but at the end of the day, it is very, very limited access. And you gotta be, you have to go through, different stages to get there. Now, it was there an actual transitional place. I mean, there's Broadway, and maybe there's other type of places that people may want to go through first and kind of like vet themselves out before they actually present themselves to Broadway.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like for me, I didn't just go out of high school to New York. People go to colleges. Actually, I didn't go to college, and that's just for me. But I wound up long story long, I wound up going on a cruise ship to save money I wound up doing a contract with Royal Caribbean. That was the best segue to New York City, because I was kind of pushed into like a small, like I had a bunk bedroom with one of the other dancers. I was on the top. I was on, and it was the best experience ever. I'm not gonna lie, because it was a takeout ship, and we took the ship from Finland back to Port Canaveral, and like it was a magical experience. But it was an experience nonetheless. And living on a ship for 8 months was a great segue to New York City, and just kind of prepped me for what was what was coming. And I'm really grateful I did that. Other people, and I've done, you know, regional theater prior. A lot of people do regional theater in their city, and then when they're ready, they move to Manhattan or go from school. There's many ways to do it, but the most important thing is, what is your heart telling you? Is your heart telling you that you want to go to New York? Then do it. Like that, by all means. I'm a firm believer, do it. But things might, yeah, things evolve and grow and change. And we were discussing like our passions in life, and that evolves and changes, and dreams, shall we say, they change. And I've really had to make sure to listen to my heart. I used to say, like, I'm never going to leave New York City. Like, I'm never, this is forever. Like, I love, and actually that was far from the truth. It wasn't. And and it's okay. And I'm really grateful that it does continue to evolve. I'm at a place in my life now where I just want to experience everything. I want to make the most out of this life. I feel that so strongly right now. I want to have the best experiences. I'm telling the universe, I'm ready to face my fears a little bit more. Again, there was a period where I was like, just need to kind of sit back. Now I'm ready to like make myself a little uncomfortable with some challenges, shall we say? I say that, I feel it feels like how I felt when I first moved to New York. That's the excitement. Like, okay, well, now I got to figure out how to audition, make those connections, go on audition, stand in front of people. How do the only way to learn is by doing it. Like that is the absolute truth. You can prep as much as possible, and that is helpful. Don't get me wrong. You do our training, but the best way to learn, just continue to put yourself out there in whatever you're doing. And it seems to help fine tune you. And I eventually learned how to audition. I have not auditioned in a long time. And so I would have to fine tune that again. But like, I remember I just knew how to walk in and here's what I'm going to sing, or you're great. And then you learn to just, and you audition. Like you could do 100 auditions and you get that one job, but that one job could change everything. And for me, that's actually kind of how it worked. I was auditioning. And then I got All Shook Up, which was a Broadway show. And
which one?
All Shook Up. So it was with starring Cheyenne Jackson, and it was at the Palace Theater, and just another experience that I will never forget. And I was put into the show. I had a week to learn the show. The show was already running. And life for me seems to always catapult me, like shoot me out of a cannon into experiences. And that was one of those where I was terrified, but I wouldn't change a thing in the world for that. And I remember standing in Times Square on my opening night and being like, it's here. The dream is, it's my opening night on Broadway is occurring. It is finally occurring, but it wasn't exactly how I thought it in my head. I'm like, I had 7 days to learn the show. Here I am. Here you go. Get on stage and perform it. And I learned a lot through that experience. But I think the best thing is, if anybody's listening, like for me, I have learned, if I continue to put myself out there in many different ways, if my heart's telling me to do it, I'm gonna try my best to fulfill that desire. And it always does seem to lead me to the most incredible experiences. And I want to make the most of this life.
Wow. That's a lot. And thank you for the advice, because I think a lot of, folks, they dream, they have goals, and sometimes they don't know what it's going to look like. And if it's ever going to materialize. Right. And, but the idea is, if you have it, you work towards it, you'll find a way. And you said it, you worked regional, you went. Actually, Royal Caribbean is one of the best, places. Their shows are awesome, and they're high grade, and it's a good experience, a great experience. I mean, I love those shows. I mean, we watch every show when on ship, and we do. I cruise quite often, so I see a lot of, and the dancers are awesome. I mean, they're great. And you're right. If you're going to do this for 8 months and be there and just do it over and over and getting good at it. And also like be in front of people, and those theaters do get packed.
Oh yeah. The ship that we were on was, at the time, it was it was the largest ship in the world at the time. and the theater is gorgeous. It was massive. It had hydraulics, like, with that. I love that you love cruising. I love cruising.
Oh,
So with
yeah.
my husband and I just did the Norwegian Bliss out of Los Angeles through the Mexican Riviera, and it was so nice. Ships are just amazing. And so even as I get older, I'm like, wow, I'm so grateful that I had that cruise ship experience and learned a lot through being in that show and living on a ship for 8 months and doing all
Well,
that.
it is tough. I mean, those quarters, and it's to your point. That's, I mean, again, if you're young, and it's okay. It's a great experience. I mean, it's it's
Yeah.
living, and you get paid, and you get free food, and, and it's all
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot of
When
people actually. Yeah.
and I was exposed to so many people from around the world. I think that was the really cool thing as well. There's so many
And
countries that work on the ship.
cultures. Yeah.
Yes. And it just was it really truly, the universe was watching my back. Like the universe was like, I think you should do this before moving to New York. And I'm glad I did it, because it did help me. New York City has so many different cultures and so many different types of people. And I was really able to just be with that on the ship and learn about other people that, some people on the ship, they don't see their families for a long time.
Mhm.
And like, I learned so many things of just, and learned about people's countries. It's really, really, so when I get on a ship now as a cruiser, I really
You
love
respect that.
chatting. Yeah. I know, I'm like, you're working hard. I know, I can only imagine what's going on down below. And I love talking and seeing like, oh, how is it where you're from? Yada, yada, yada. So I love it. I love it.
And I'm sure you sit at that theater and watch those shows and start like looking. That person has potential. I
Yeah.
remember me back in the days. I mean, that's got to bring some memories back.
Norwegian recently, because this was in December, and Norwegian has Six the Musical and Jersey Boys on. So they have two Broadway shows. I wish when I did cruise ships, they didn't have Broadway shows at the time, but now, they have
Oh,
Broadway
they do.
shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but we got to talk with the cast, and it was just really nice, and how excited they were. And I remember that feeling. I remember being like, yay, you're like, so I just, I said some words of like, you're doing amazing. I know this is, I know this must be a different experience maybe. And, just keep going. And she was like, you don't know how much I need to hear that, because I know how
Well,
it feels.
well, it is, but also coming from you, has been there, done that, and really you were on the real Broadway and all the stuff. I mean, you got to pump them up. I mean, they'd be so.
Yeah, they were great too. They were really
They are.
talented. Yeah, and I was really happy. I was like, and to be performing at this time and with everything going on, and like I was like, you're doing amazing. Like this is really what an experience this is for you, that you're never really going to ever forget for the rest of your life.
Well, so just to get into the discussion of the dance in itself, right?
Yeah.
Now, I know Broadway is just choreographed music, and and the musicals with dance and all the good stuff. But I mean, I know you do a lot more on the back end. So any particular dance style that you've actually preferred? I mean, there's so many of them.
Yeah. I mean, I'm more of a technical, like I love jazz, I love ballet. I love Broadway for storytelling. Like
Mhm.
I'm not a company dancer where I'm solely doing company pieces. I love storytelling through music. I
Mhm.
love playing different characters. Yeah. And I love how numbers advance a show. So that's where my heart really, really lies. And even as a choreographer now, I'm very passionate about that and doing work like that. But I also, yeah, I don't know. And for now, especially with dance, I love dance to a camera. So being in Los Angeles, I do love what the camera can do to movement. And I love studying that and kind of seeing how that changes behind a camera or in front of a camera. How on stage, it's one thing, but in front of a camera, they are really truly two different art forms. And it's fascinating to me, but that's really jazz and ballet. I'm not really hip hop, I wouldn't say, but I'll give you a good kick and some turns.
Listen, like I said, it's a lot of styles, and there's different specialties basically, and that's you. And you're right, it has more of an artistic version, and even hip hop can have the same, but it's just a different storytelling, right? And
Each
different movement, and look. And you did say something important, like theater versus movie. I mean, there's different, and even in acting, it's one thing to, I mean, in theater there's no cuts. I mean, you got to do it. You're there for the hour. It's over. I mean, in the movie business, it's a little easier because you have your lines. You can do 10 takes and still be able to make it look good. It's a little, it's different. But again, especially choreography, even in the movies, it's, you know, you do a scene, you stop, so on and so forth. In a theater, you're out there, it's over. The show begins, it has to end, and it has to look good.
Yeah. The different camera angles too, when you're dealing with camera, like how many cameras are around, and, you know, all these, there's so many different layers, full body, how, you know, from waist up, like, but when you're on stage, you gotta keep going, and you don't, you know, that is its own art form. So each of them for sure have a lot of details that are, you know, fun to learn about.
No, you were actually on a program on HBO, and I think, right?
So I choreograph. I choreograph, and I've been as a performer as well, like on Wizards of Waverly Place, done some stuff for Disney. As a choreographer, I worked with HBO in a documentary that was really, really powerful. It's called 15, a Quinceañera Story, and it's about a trans teen girl named Zoe Luna, and she was having a quinceañera, and HBO documented the whole thing. And I came in as a choreographer to choreograph the number for her. It was such an amazing, it was one of those, again, I want to experience life, and I those memories, and to experience that was really cool. So you can see that on HBO Max, actually, 15, a Quinceañera Story. And, but I've done some with MTV as well, and music videos. But I love choreographing. That was something that I never imagined I would get into, even though I was doing it at a young age. I love choreographing, and I love working with actors or really setting up stuff and making it look good. It brings me a lot of joy to do that.
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, choreography is no picnic. I mean,
no.
I mean, you have like 10 people, and they have different things, and they have to really coordinate, and everything is counting. And most people don't realize that there are points on the stage where you have to be at a certain point, and there's counting, and you know, so it's a little, you know, intense. And again, from my small little experience in life, I learned those little tricks. So, and I see, like, you know, oh, so they have to stand there, and then you got to do this. But really, it's everybody. I mean, it's amazing when you look at a music video and there is a whole bunch of people dancing. I mean, they're like flawless. I mean, just like one motion, one everything. And to get to that level, I mean, how much repetition and how much practice you need to do to get there. And then not everybody is the same. I mean, you pick the best, you know, and they're all different levels, and you have to really guide them and, you know, really adjust them, tweak them.
Yeah. Especially with TV, what I've learned a lot, time is not like theater. You practice a lot, and it depends on the jobs. For television and film, a film, you get a little bit more time, but like television is kind of fast. So they're like, great, you have this much time, and which could not be a lot of time. Yeah, like we're going to be filming this tomorrow, blah, blah, and you get like this time slot because the actors only have this much time, and you don't get a lot of time. So it was a little jarring for me at first, because I'm so used to theater, which is like, we want to rehearse. We're like, yes, like let's rehearse. And here they're like, the producers are like, okay, we need this, and we need it by tomorrow. And but I learned a lot through that. That is, again, it's a different art form. Time is money. And how do you make this work? And it's so much fun to figure out. But even I worked on a reality show called Dance Moms, and that was a whole experience. So I worked on the season 1 as a choreographer, and I would create stuff off camera, work with them, and then we'd adjust things, and then they'd work on camera with the main person. But it was fast. It was really, really fast, and how to make it look good for the camera, and have a discussion about costumes and all these things. So it became I became like a producer, a creative director in many different ways as I started to grow. So,
well, I mean, isn't that what choreography is? I mean, just for audiences, you are actually directing the motion and of the dance, whatever that is. I mean, it's all of the ingredients to make it look good. And it's coordinating the whole thing.
Yeah, you got a lot but there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. So it's like, how do you navigate around, dealing with especially reality TV, where there's a lot of heightened energy already, as there is off camera. But like, how do you kind of navigate around, and working with directors that are just so open and want to help is really, really awesome. But again, it's a learning experience on its own. I did a thing for WB called Heart of Dixie, and that was a really great experience. And it was a TV show for the CW, and it was filmed on a lot. and we did it in the square, and they had filmed Music Man there, Gilmore Girls, like all these other things. So I was in awe as it is already, but we didn't have a lot of time, and but it was great. It was one of those, it was very theatrical, shall we say, like a lot of energy. Okay, now we got to be ready and got to do this. So it's I do love all of it. It's fun to me.
Just did you do any choreography for any prominent stars or dancers or singers?
I mean there was one. I've worked with Rebel Wilson, so I did a thing with Rebel Wilson but this was for her birthday, and I did a number. And we did Cats the musical, it was so much fun. Rebel Wilson is so much fun, and she's so funny, and I was already a big fan prior, so to work with her and then do that for her birthday, and then I even did another private thing for her, and we did Grease Lightning. And so it was just, I'm so grateful for these experiences, and I would have never imagined all these different little things.
Well, now you're on the West Coast, so there's a lot more of that. I mean,
yes,
I'm sure you're busy, and there's so much.
You go to Starbucks and you see somebody, you're like, oh, look at that. Yeah. Hollywood is Hollywood.
Hollywood is Hollywood. Well, so let's talk now about the 567 Broadway.
Yeah,
the story behind starting it, and what it is. I mean, what does 567 Broadway do?
Yeah, 567 Broadway. Well, for anybody that's listening, know that it's a dance fitness class to Broadway music. We start with 25 minutes of cardio and strength training. And then for the second part of class, I teach a combination that I break down. And it's just a fun workout experience. I don't like calling it just like a workout. It is a workout experience. And I'm kind of bringing everything that we've talked about, I'm bringing that into this. So it's like what dance does for me personally, and as a choreographer and as a performer, and what the arts do. And it's just kind of all mixed in together to give a workout experience. And my main goal is to help share the magic and the power of dance to as many people as I can. So it's really beyond Broadway. 567 Broadway is the main thing that I do, but it is more about movement and creativity. I think these last couple of years have been really, really difficult, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
And I had started virtual classes, and I'm so great. That was a journey. Talk about a journey, starting that. But I started meeting people from around the world virtually that would come and take. And people need creativity. We are creative beings, whether we understand that or not. Every choice that we make, from the shirt we put on to how we make our room look to how we do our hair, is a creative expression no matter what. And I really for me, I try to inspire people to play with that and because I do get people that, I'm not really artsy, or I'm not really creative. I'm like, well, you are, you just don't really you don't see the choice that you're currently making is a creative choice. And I try to open people's mind to the power of creativity, the arts, movement, music, to help ourselves move through this life. Because, it's, as we see, this last couple of years have been difficult. So I know for me, music and movement helped me, and 567 Broadway is the key foundation. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful I've had that these last couple of years, and had a community of people that I could turn to when it was, when through these scary times sometimes, and say, hey, we're just going to dance it out today. Like, I know there's a lot going on. Let's just dance and let's have some fun just for this moment, and then let it go. And I know it always makes me feel better. It always makes me feel better. When in doubt, I have the thing, when in doubt, dance it out. And it's true. Like, because when I'm in doubt, or when I'm happy, or when I'm sad, or when I'm angry, if I do movement in some way, shape, or form, I know that you were talking about you do with martial arts, and that's great. Movement is so great. Connecting to your body, connecting to your mind, really, really powerful. So I hope, I hope people continue to tap into it as we heal and recover from all of these last couple of years. Because, we need, it takes, and it does take making that effort into it. But if you're curious, try 567 Broadway and see what happens.
Well, so I am curious about the 567 Broadway, the name? I mean, does that have any significance? Is it an address? Or I want
Yeah,
to go check out Broadway 567.
no.
What is that?
So 5, 6, 7, 8 is like the dance. You count an 8 to dance. Like
Got it.
5. So you say 5, 6,
6,
7, 8.
7,
Usually
go.
that's always, yeah. 5,
Yeah.
that's like your shotgun. And but I, instead of saying 5, 6, 7, 8, you say 5, 6, 7 Broadway. I've created another class called 5, 6, 7 Hollywood. So it's all Hollywood music of like movies and TV shows. So, but it's completing the 8. It's my mind. I don't know. Like,
No, that's good. I was curious because I mean, I'm like, I might have to go check out on Google what's 567 Broadway. What's in there? Maybe there is actually I don't know. We have to find out. I don't know.
Yeah,
if
you have to go. You have to say it like 5, 6, 7 Broadway. Like it has to be like how you would say 5, 6, 7, 8.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. I mean, I just thought people would probably be
No,
like,
for sure.
what is that? Well, so it is a workout. It is exercise.
Yep.
And it is for, I'm assuming, everyone that wants to do a nice little, break a sweat and just stay in shape, but using the art of music and dancing. Basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so is that is that a format that they have to do? Is that just what kind of program is it?
I really try to create it for everybody because, especially being in Los Angeles, there's a lot of fitness can be quote unquote like elite. Like, people feel and like they have to work out before they go work out at the gym, at least, in the past. And I know I wanted to create a safe space for everyone. And whether you want to do something, the program is created so you could do it more full out, or you could take it down a notch. And I always encourage people to like, what can you do today? Not compete against somebody else. I know for me, competition I already have to, I feel like as a performer, I had to do it a lot. And I've really had to get out of that mindset of just showing up today for me. What can I do? Yes, there's some healthy competition, but fitness classes, in my opinion, should be a safe space. We're taking care of our bodies it's really, really a special thing. It's not a joke to me. So I really try to create a safe space for everybody to come and do what they can for today. I know for me, I was dealing with like a little small injury and I had to stop jumping for a little bit. And so I told the class, I have to stop. I'm not going to be jumping, but I will be doing, the not jumping version of this. And thank goodness I created it so that it is capable of taking out jumps when dancing and stuff that I do. And other people, I'm like, you know what to do. If you want to jump, you can jump here, but I'm not going to be jumping for now. So that's, it's a safe space.
So thank you. I mean, you said it's designed for almost for everybody, but do people come in because they want to lose weight? Do they want to just be agile or they just want to really just dance and have fun? What is the attraction there? Which category would you say is attractive?
It's kind of all over the place. I for sure am not I'm not like you're going to lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks. Like I don't believe in that. I don't believe in telling people. I think there's enough of that. But I do remind people of the health benefits. So I encourage people. Yes, that's why I call it like a workout experience, because the health benefits of dance alone are incredible, but then you're tapping into creativity, which is really, that's another health benefit on its own. So I think it's a mixture. I think some people have maybe goals. They're like, I'm going to use this more for my cardio. And then other people are just like, I just want to move joyfully and I want to feel, but I know for me, I years ago, I got rid of my scale for me. I was like, I cannot, I was obsessive about it. Honestly, I would step on it and look, and then if I would notice, I
know the feeling.
And I was like, forget it. No more of that. I don't need to do that. And I really try to just I just try to be conscious of my movement and what I'm doing. I did get an Apple Watch, which has been really helpful to track my movement, especially during these last couple of years. So that, because I had a tendency to just want to go sleep in my room. And so I was like, I really need to keep track a little bit more, but I wasn't looking at my weight like that. But I just encourage people to just like move, like, what can we do today? What each day that can you do? And, they're each their own too. Other people want rigorous programs that are really set on that. And that's great as well. State that. I don't want to that. I like to just kind of give people a safe space to move, to have fun, to sweat. You're for sure going to sweat. People are always like, am I going to sweat? Like, is this a class? What is it? I'm like, and then they leave and they're like, oh my God, I'm so sweaty. Because it is a cardio. Dance for sure will bring on, get your heart rate up.
Well, dancing is a super, action. I mean, when you dance, and especially if it's an hour, I'm assuming an average hour.
Yeah. Well, I do an hour and 15. So I used to do an hour just in person, but it would always go over. So that's why I do an hour and 15 virtually. And it's
nonstop, an hour nonstop, and you're just bouncing and dancing and stuff. You will drench. I mean, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
I can just imagine. Listen, I just dance for fun, and believe me, I get on the dance floor, I'm just gonna be there for like a couple of hours, just not stop, and then I'll literally have to change my shirt because it's that's the best. I mean, but it's a good. I mean, actually, talking about cardio and losing, calories counts is like quick. I mean, it's and everything's working in your body. That's the other thing. There's not a place and there's not a muscle in your body that's not actually moving.
Muscle and your brain, like you're working, because having to be like, okay, now I gotta. He's said grapevine. What is a grapevine? Like, and then trying to memorize sequences. And the first part of class is the same every week. So I always encourage people, the more you do the first part of class, the more you're going to get it. So every time you come back to class, that is the same. So it's about 7 numbers. It's the same. I switch them out every so often, but it's like memorizing a show. And it's interesting what your brain as a dancer, yes, when you're like, raise your right hand, now raise your left, like your brain, you're really working, your whole body to work together. So there's many, many amazing health benefits of what dance can do. And also too, I always just encourage, like, people sometimes can be scared of sweat. Like I've learned that, like I've been dancing since I was a kid. So I've constantly just been sweating my whole life. But like some people that are maybe new to exercise are like, well, there's so much coming down. I'm like, it's good. Just stay hydrated. Like, I'm like, yay, sweat is glitter. We're doing good.
Get rid of the sodium, right?
You're cleansing your body. Yay. Your body's taking care of itself. Yay. But some people, it can be like, oh, what's happening? I'm like, no, you're okay. You're okay.
Well, listen, it is good. At the end of the day, I mean, if you work out and there's no sweat, there's something wrong.
Sweat is good.
You got to make it work, right? I mean, it's good.
Yeah, you got to get that heart rate up. You got to keep it strong. I'm fascinated with the body. I would like to eventually, who knows, maybe learn even more. I have a fitness certification, but like I would maybe even like to do a deeper dive into our bodies are fascinating. They're fascinating, just how they work, and our muscles and our bones and our heart and our lungs. Like it is insane. But we all know, but I just try to remind people is it requires us to take care of it. It does. In order to work, it requires us to pick up that weight, and that's good. We're not just being like, well, I want my biceps to look. I'm like, we want strong muscles. So when we pick up something, we don't pull out our back or we're helping take care of ourselves for everyday life. And I know for me, there's so many layers, like talking to you, and like just there's so many layers of why I love movement, and I love finding fun ways to keep my body and my mind strong. But it unfortunately does take some effort to do that.
Well, it is. Well, there's nothing good, worth anything that you're not going to get some effort. If that was that easy, everybody would get it. Like,
I do wish those days where I'm like, can I just push a button, be like flexible, or like when I'm sore, can I just push a button and that go away? Yeah. No.
that the world would be at a different place, right? I mean, everybody would be like, okay, no more pain, press the button.
You're telling me this is not the human experience?
It's tough. Well, there's one element you mentioned, something about the mind, right? You talking about dancing, especially with choreography. I mean, there's counting. You have to count your steps. You have to, when you start, you have to learn. And the reason I can relate to it, because when we did the kata, right, in martial arts, kata is really a form. And if you watch any competition in kata, I mean, these people, they're like one breath, one move, it's just intense.
Martial arts.
But when you get to that level, I mean, you're really, really like everything is counted, like 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's how it goes. But then everybody, like there's poses, there's this and that, and it has to be solid. And it takes a lot of practice to get to that rhythm. Yeah. And your mind is working, because especially in the beginning, as you learn a form, you have to remember, like, what is that next sequence? When do I have to go fast? When do I have to slow down? And so it's very similar. At least that's I think that's just something that I can relate to. Yeah. But that's one thing. And the other thing is the mental state. I mean, when you're dancing and you're happy, your mental state is in a better place. I mean, you can't beat
be
that,
joyful.
right? Exactly. It's
Be
very joyful. It's fun. There's nothing wrong with it. And then you're laughing, you're smiling. That's the other thing. Your endorphins are kicking and you're just in a better place.
I try to remind people of, because, you know, like we understand we're like endorphins. We all, I think most humans that are adults understand, like, yes, endorphins. However, I think we've kind of taken for granted the magic of endorphins. Like endorphins is truly a natural high that is absolutely, it is a gift that your body gives you for doing the work. Honestly, that's how I always view it, where because it gives you that natural, you're like, ooh, and you feel like, you're like, I feel good. It feels great. But that's how incredible that is. I just really, I'm amazed by it, but I also try to remind people, like, we're not just saying, oh, well, yeah, my endorphins, like, let's respect and say how amazing that the universe gave us this gift of endorphins when you take care of yourself, when you get your heart rate up and suddenly you're like, I can conquer the world. You want me to pick up more weight? I'm ready. And then you're like, okay, wait, I'm good.
Well, at least the feeling is right. You know, and that's the bottom line. I mean,
I love that.
Anyone is always looking for joy and somewhere to be cheered up. And you know, when you exercise, there is a sense of fun. There's a sense of real achievement. There's a sense of, like, you know, being high. Even when you tired, you're like, you feel good.
Yeah, you're like, I feel good. Like, this feels great. So for anybody that doesn't know, if you don't know, and maybe you don't know the most about endorphins when you exercise are an amazing thing. So if you're like, ooh, what is that? Just get your heart rate up, and let me tell you, the endorphins will eventually kick in, especially if you're listening to music. Ooh, it goes.
Well, that I mean, we can just take it. I mean, just a test. If you work out without music and work out music, it's a big different, you know, space. You put your headset and the beat is right, and you just like you're real, like, I mean, even in boxing, like, you know, you're just getting to that bag and yeah, it's
you go
different.
into the flow. I think as you were talking to, it reminds me of movement, and when especially like something like the martial arts or something like dance that is it has a more of a discipline, I would say. Requires you to kind of really put a lot of things together, but it also pulls you into the present moment. And I know, like, you suddenly, that's the thing I love about dancing, and when you get lost into the movement and into the moment, and you stop thinking, even though you're working, it suddenly becomes because you've done so much practice that does take practice, but it gets you into the present moment and gets you kind of into the flow of all of it. It's so cool.
Well, I think there's more to that. I mean, when you are working, let's say in a choreography, you know, and a whole, I guess, set, right?
Yeah.
And you're really into it. I mean, even when you do and people are watching, you're in the zone, baby. You don't even pay mind. I remember when I used to do forms, and, you know, you just don't even see who's watching. You don't care anymore. You're like really like in the rhythm, boom, 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 boom. And, you know, people are watching, you're really performing and you don't care until you finish and you stand, you're like, okay, done. But that's, once you start, it's like, you know, you shut down everybody out and you just get into it. And that's a different, and some people would probably relate to this, because if they've experienced any close to this, they would know what I mean. But it's just a different feeling. And same thing when you're on stage. I mean, in your case, when you perform, I mean, you kind of zone out from everybody. You just blank everybody out. You just in the motion and in the moment. So
yeah, it's part of it's kind of, that's the best. When it happens, it's the best thing. I'll never forget when I was younger, I used to do dance competitions when I was a kid. So I grew up in the dance competition world, like Dance Moms a little bit. And, but I will never forget, as I started to get older, and maybe, you know, when I was like 14, 15, I remember I started to get really into the present moment as a performer on stage. And it was a new experience for me. So I'd practice, rehearse a lot. I was very passionate, rehearse a lot. And then when you get out on stage, you're taught, just let it go, like try to let it go and be there. And I remember I got lost. I got off, I did the whole performance and I felt like something took over. It was a very weird feeling. And then I got off stage and I was like, wow, but that to me is, you know, as you get older, you learn to just try to let go and trust yourself and trust your hard work. But it's a really cool experience as a performer on stage.
Well, let's take that to the next level. So what kind of advice would you tell people that are actually just in the beginning of their fitness journey or fitness dance journey or dance fitness journey?
Yeah. If anybody, well, in general, like, I guess, yeah, fitness try things, see what you like, see what, and try to face your fears with seeing the different things out there. Martial art, like people love martial arts. That's great. There's many different ways to connect to movement and connect to yourself. But especially with dance, there's different forms of dance. There's so many, you can go, you have Zumba as a fitness class, you have hip hop, you have ballet class. There's so many different things. It is, what is your heart telling you should do? And if, for me, I know with 567 Broadway specifically, I wanted to create a dance fitness class. I would have to admit, if you're not really a Broadway lover, it might be a little different, but like overall, I wanted to create something that allowed a sweaty workout along with having kind of that creative experience as well, without being like, people at home. I love it because my students, they pull things from their closet and they put on workout costumes. They're just, it is so inspiring to me that they do things where I'm like, you're full out. And I love it. And I love seeing people kind of come to life a little bit more. But I can't encourage people enough to just give it a try. Give whatever it is, give it a try, give it a couple times, sometimes too. It will tell you for sure if they're like, I like that, or like, I don't think I should do that again. It's okay. There's, in this day and age, there definitely is something out there to help you on your fitness journey. No one can say, oh, well, there's nothing in my area. Well, there's a lot of virtual stuff. There's, there's ways to connect. We truly are in a new day and age to connect, especially now the pandemic has pushed us into the future, and a lot of stuff are online now for you to try.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you. And you mentioned something about like the Broadway piece, maybe not for everyone, but you have created something different. To your point, that's an experience. I mean, you can do hip hop, aerobics, and you can do Zumba, and it's more like freestyle dancing and a little bit of more like standard stuff. But you can do the next level, which is the Broadway, classic stuff, and with advanced, but still break. That's actually, to your point, that's a unique angle in its own, and I think that's it's really premium. It's separate. It's not your typical class. Yeah. And I think so there's a niche to it. There's a whole, it's an experience. I mean, how many people would want to be, dancing like on Broadway? I mean, I may not be even an artist or like a dancer to be on Broadway, but maybe I want to experience something like that, right? Just to get that feel and get like, oh my God. And by the way, once you get into it, you're right. And I know, because when I did the modern jazz, and it was literally theatrical pieces and the choreography, and it was, like I said, for 3 months I did it, but those moments have stayed with me all my life. I still remember the moves. Literally, I still remember my actual set. And but it was unique because it was like defined, and it was a little bit there was a picture to it. There's really, like, you see a story and you see all that, and that's different. And someone would probably want to enjoy a workout, a sweat, but learning those things. And again, same thing. Some people go to Zumba and they learn. I mean, not everybody can actually catch up with a Zumba class, because it's not like they stop and teach step by step. You get in, you got to learn the steps as they go, and every music changes. So the first few sessions you're gonna go into Zumba class, you're gonna be like all over the place. They finish a movement, you're already like, what the hell just happened? And then you have to learn slowly, and that's exactly what happens. Yeah, and it's different. So it's something new for everybody to maybe even experience. And that leads me to the question: how can people reach out to it, to you, and how can they even experience it? Can they see it? Where are there videos that people can actually consult?
So you can find me at 567broadway.com, and everything is there. I do have a YouTube channel as well, so that's at 567 Broadway. I love YouTube. I love YouTube for me personally, but I also love the plethora of information that you can find and resources. So I do put free resources out there. I have a workout video as well, and that's at 567broadway.com. The thing that I really love doing in this day and age for me, and I know other people do as well, is live stream classes. I love connecting to people, and I love seeing things in real time. And that has been super helpful for me. If I would love to see you in a virtual class, and I do those every Saturday. And but that you can find that at 567broadway.com. If you have any questions about that, I release the schedule of like upcoming combos. So like this Saturday, we're doing Jersey Boys, and that will be our main combo, and that will be so much fun. Big Girls Don't Cry. Well, just dancing to that alone
Well,
Very
that's
cool.
actually that is interesting because like for someone to think like, oh, I'm gonna be working out and learn the Jersey Boys, stuff.
Yeah.
That's actually that could be something a whole different experience.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean, just think about it,
fun.
and or any other type of classic, and people would be like, what the hell? This is fun stuff. And now when they watch it, they didn't like I know the moves. I
Yeah.
can just see like on the other side, like now they're gonna do this, and their minds are like they're getting all excited about it. So that's fun stuff.
Well, and you also too, like what you said earlier is like, I think the thing that I really love about 567 Broadway is it's grown into what it wants to become, but it's a community, and community is really important. And it evolved into, I just was like, I'm teaching, and it kind of, it grew. And so it's really amazing to see how people, especially now, and with this this new chapter of 567 Broadway, virtually this cast, I call everybody a cast, they're a cast, and virtually came together as a cast, and they're joining together, and they've made friendships, and it's just happened. We came together. And here's the thing, but I know I'm changed because I see them in their Zoom squares. I call them their Broadway stage at home. I'm like, yeah, fantasy is really good. Like, allow yourself. That's what I did as a kid. I allowed myself to get lost into music or playing, having fun and creativity. It is healing. It is really powerful. But I'm really grateful for the cast of 567 Broadway, and what they do for each other, and then what they do as a community for me. So I'm super grateful for that. But it is important to be a part of. I do think it is important to be a part of something, whatever that is. But maybe give 567 Broadway a try, see if that works. But I'm a person too. I'm not like, you must. And your heart will guide you. That your heart will guide you. I'm here, and maybe I'm a chapter in your life, and then you move on to the next chapter. That's cool. I think that's awesome. So, and yeah.
Well, I believe it's got to be quite an experience to just at least from an experience perspective to test that out and see what because
Yeah.
you said they're on their set, their stage,
Yeah.
and they don't have to worry about people watching them, anybody, because they're really in their own day in front of the camera. So I think that gives them also a level of I guess feeling right, feeling empowered. They don't have to be scared. I mean, that's a whole different. So they can really go at it. I mean, they can.
Well, the thing that was the most interesting for me about this, because virtual was like a whole, like I was like, well, I think we all like, we're like, great, okay, here we go. And the thing in my life, classes in person, I haven't taught in almost 2 years in person, by the way. But in person, I would film the main combo that we do at the end of class. So I would film it, and it was like we were doing this production number, and everybody loved it, and they wore costumes and everything. And now virtually, I film it at the end. And I was like, I give people like, I'm like, if you don't want to be in it, just turn your camera off, no pressure, yada, yada, yada. But they love keeping their camera on, and they love watching the video when I post it, because then they get to see each other together. They don't see that most of the time because they only just see me, but they get to see each other together. And then they'll comment like, oh my God, look at you, Heather, you look amazing. I love what you're doing. Oh, look at your costume. They comment. And it's such a, I would have never imagined that this would be happening this way, but that is a thing. I listen, I try to pay attention to how things evolve naturally and how they the direction it wants to go, and not what I'm like, this is how it must be. It for sure has evolved into what it wants to become.
Well, listen, you've created a whole new style and a whole new. I don't think there's anything similar. I'm not aware of anything. That's why when we've connected, I'm like, I want to hear this because this is different. It has a different flavor. It has a different angle, and again, people know dancing, they know workouts, but making it as a fitness, and this style. Broadway style is a lot different from your Zumba classics, right?
Yeah,
So,
that's a little different.
yeah, I'm saying, but even Zumba, I mean, when you think about it, right? I mean, the guy, I think Beto, his name, right?
Yeah.
So he's came
created an empire.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great idea. It's just simple moves, but different beats, different culture beats and stuff, and then and it becomes just a sensation over a few years, and forget about it. It's all over the world. Yeah. I mean
him, and Jazzercise, Richard Simmons, Jane Fonda. I mean, I study so many different people, and I love that there's something there. That's why I always tell people, I'm like, there's something for everyone. I'm grateful for when something connects to people that they want to get up and dance, whatever it is. If you get up and dance, success. Like, yay, you know.
Listen, no eggs. You're dancing. Everything's loose. You're making, your emotions good. Your bones are moving. Your
Oh, we need
muscles.
dance. We need
Yeah.
dance. We need to dance. So go dance it out. Go listen. Somebody go listen to music. Go put on some good music and dance it out and have some fun. You deserve it.
Well, thank you, Joseph, for that. Well, listen, we've just popped up on the hour mark here. so it was quick, and I think we have a lot of insights from you, and the description of the link to your show, to your show. Yes, it is a show.
It is kind of a show.
It is a show. The link to 567 Broadway, the site will be on our description of this show, and people can actually check it out and see what it is. And I guess there are videos there too, so people can see some samples.
There's so much up online
Good,
for you.
good,
But
good.
567broadway.com, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any questions. And thank you so much for having me on and chatting about this. It's always so great, and I learned so much from these conversations. So thank you for all you said. So it's been super enlightening.
It was, and it was very inspirational. And I know a lot of people that even just from your journey, that's I always love the journey part when I have guests, and every guest I've had a journey, and there was a goal in there, and there's something that turned things around, and we are here today because of that. I guess history that you have, and a lot of people are probably in the beginning of that start point, and they probably haven't figured it out yet. And sometimes
So
getting
exciting.
a couple. It is. I mean, getting a couple of pointers here and there from people that have attained some of those goals, and hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, totally.
Well, listen, Joseph, it's been real. Thank you so much for your time, folks. Thank you for being with us today, watching and listening in. And we'll be talking soon. Different show, different guest, different topic. Bye for now.